Hello, explorers, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today. Thank you for bearing through the double countdown today. I forgot to click one important button, but we are underway now with Reach the World's Explorer program. And for more than 25 years, Reach the World has inspired youth to become curious, confident, and compassionate global citizens through virtual exchange. My name is Tim, and today we are traveling to La Gomera in the Spanish Canary Islands to meet the Valkyries, an amazing team of Royal Navy active service members who are about to embark on an incredible journey. Less than 24 hours after we connect live with the Valkyries today, they will be setting off from La Gomera in a very special rowboat, and over the next month and a half or so, rowing all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to the Caribbean island of Antigua. Today, we'll meet the team, we'll see how they've been preparing for this massive challenge, and we will give them a very warm send-off. And just like this is the beginning of the Valkyries journey, it's also the beginning of our journey with them. Through this virtual exchange program, K-12 classrooms around the world can follow the team's progress over the coming weeks and see what they're up to through written articles, photos, and short videos from the middle of the ocean. All of this and more can be found at the Valkyries Virtual Exchange homepage, which I have added as a link to the chat. Let me also give a warm welcome to the teachers and students who are joining us live today, especially our friends in Missouri, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut who are joining live on screen or via YouTube, and will be sharing questions with the Valkyries very shortly. Enough introduction, let's journey to the beautiful Canary Islands just off the coast of northwestern Africa to say hi to the HMS Oardacious Valkyries. I am going to bring them on stage so we can say hello. Hello, Valkyries.
Hello. Hi. How's it going?
It is great. I am so excited to have you here today. We have Lieutenant Commander Izzy Ralston and Lieutenant Commander Ali Andaw joining us from La Gomera. And can you tell us where you are? Because it looks like you're in some sort of high-tech cave right now.
Yes, we are. We are absolutely in a high-tech cave or thereabouts, for as high-tech as our little boat can be. So we are currently in the aft cabin. So we've got two cabins on board, which we'll show you in a bit. And this is the aft cabin, so where one of us will sleep at all times. And we've also got all of our comms equipment and our navigation equipment inside here as well.
All right, fabulous. And that's sort of what I was getting at by saying your very special rowboat. This is not your average rowboat. But before we get too far into the boat itself, I would love to know a little bit more about each of you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you grew up, what you do for your work, and sort of how you came to be involved in the HMS Oardacious project?
Yeah, so my name's Izzy. You've already introduced me. Thank you very much. I'm a lieutenant commander in the Royal Navy, and I'm a mechanical engineering submariner. So my day job, I work on submarines. I look after the nuclear reactor, and I do maintenance and operating of that reactor. And I have a department that I look after as well. And then we go away for long periods of time under the water and then come back. And I currently live in Scotland, and that is where I will be for the next 5 years probably. I got involved in the campaign, and I'm lucky enough to be the captain of the crew, and I've recruited 3 beautiful and very capable ladies to be my teammates, and this is Ali.
Thank you, Izzy. So good to meet you all. As Izzy said, my name is Ali. I am also in the Royal Navy, and I am a diver, so I do a lot of work under the water, and we work with explosives. So we focus on bomb disposal, but under the water. And I've actually worked with a lot of Americans as well in the US Navy, which is really, really cool. And we love coming over there to see you guys. And I work in Portsmouth, which is sort of on the east coast of England. And I grew up at the bottom of England, so not far in comparison to the distance in the US, but it is far for England. So I was very, very fortunate to get involved with the row, and we did a selection process to get in, and lots of teams in the campaign get together for different reasons, but we focused mainly on obviously our rowing and fitness, but mainly our personalities to ensure that we all get on and work together as a team on the row. So feeling very, very fortunate to not only be involved with this amazing group of women, but have the opportunity to talk to people like you as well on calls, and that makes it all worthwhile.
Well, fabulous. It's so nice to meet you virtually in person. Allie and Izzy, I have a couple photos from your preparations for this experience that I'm hoping you can sort of help us talk through as we introduce these students to both yourselves and what you are about to undertake, which is pretty massive. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's a map of where you're going, right? To us, it looks like a red line across a big blue patch of nothing, of emptiness. Yeah. Can you talk to us about what this red line shows us?
I suppose simply it's a route from east to west, and that's where hopefully we're gonna start on the right hand side as you look at it, I suppose, and then finish on the left hand side. So we'll come all the way across. But that red line that you can see on the map there is as the crow flies, and the weather that we will experience on the water won't let us do that route. So what we'll probably do is, if you start across on the right hand side, we'll probably drop down underneath that red line and then come quite far south, and then level off and move along, and then meet Antigua on the other side, from basically a U shape. Is probably how we'll be forced to go, because the wind will be really strong and we want to use it to our advantage, which will mean that we're quicker and we'll have to be on the water for less time.
Okay, and even this red line that looks just a few inches long to us represents how far? How far will you be rowing in the end?
So that is 3,000 miles.
3,000 miles. That's amazing. People don't just hop in a boat and row 3,000 miles. You all have been training and preparing for this day tomorrow when you set off from harbor to start the race for quite a while now. And we have a couple pictures from that training process. Can you tell me, this looks like a pretty serious pool party. What's happening here?
Yes, so in order to start the race and be part of the wider campaign, you have to do a certain amount of courses to ensure that when we leave, we can look after each other and ourselves, and that we're capable of dealing with any emergencies that we might have, such as capsize, so the boat tipping over, and some other things like first aid and basic navigation. So you can see in this picture, which is all of us in a swimming pool with some other teams that were also doing it. And we were practicing with a life raft, which is very, very similar to the one we have on board. So in an emergency, we would deploy the life raft and then we would all embark. And as you can see, that's us in the swimming pool, simulating us being in the sea with our life jackets on, ready to climb in and wait for rescue. So hopefully that will never happen. But the important thing is that we've practiced in case it does, and we'll be ready. So that's what that lovely picture is showing, us in the water.
Fabulous. And there you are in your life raft. Probably if you ever had to use a life raft, knock on wood, you might not be that happy about it, but no. At least you're prepared. What's happening here?
So that's me just practicing some radio calls. So in order to ensure that we're safe at sea, we have to be competent and capable of using our radio, which Izzy is showing you now. And that enables us to talk to other ships or potentially some ports as we're entering or exiting. But most notably on our crossing, we were likely to use it for communicating with other ships if we see them in the distance, to alert to them that we are close, so that they can alter their course for us, as we are very maneuverable.
All right. And I see some map work here, some serious study of maps. What is happening here?
So we're learning all of the navigation techniques of sea navigation. So it's not really as simple as just looking at the roads. So you have to think about how the tide will affect you, and then how deep the water is. From those charts that we're using there, it's all coastal, so you also have to consider how deep it is. But obviously, when we're going across the Atlantic, that's not something we have to worry about. And then you can plot a route on the chart that you would then hope to take, taking into account tide and weather, and that should then be fairly accurate. And we were also learning about all of the different markers that we might see on the water, so the cardinal markers and the lateral markers, which tell you all sorts of information about where you should be, and basically sort of which side of the road you should be on when you're entering and leaving a place.
Okay. This may be a familiar sight to some students who are training for something.
Yeah, so this is us, one of the many pictures of us just following our training program. So in order to ensure that we're robust and strong enough to carry out the row, we followed a meticulous, very detailed strength and conditioning program. So lots of weights in the gym, lots of yoga to ensure that we're supple and flexible, because we'll expect to see a lot of big waves out there. So the more flexible we can be, hopefully that will reduce injury. And then, as you can see here, we conducted some testing in a scientific laboratory with some very clever people who assessed our fitness at different stages throughout the training, to offer us some some proper data to ensure that we could see progression and they could track how much we had changed over that period.
All right. Another test, looks like another test happening here.
Yeah, that's a strength test, that one. So it's static. You stand on the plate, and there's a bar that you would hold, and then you basically try and push the plate away from you while holding onto the bar, and it measures basically how strong. I suppose it's your thighs, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So your lower half of your body is. And then we can do all of our training blocks and then do it again to see whether or not we're progressing and training correctly.
Very nice. All right. And now that you have just fast forward to you're strong and prepared physically and mentally, what does it take to get your boat actually ready to depart harbor?
Yeah, so you can see in this picture a lot of kit and equipment, and that's half of it really. We've got a lot of safety equipment, food especially. We've got so much food each. We've got enough food for 55 days each, to get us across, just in case we take longer than expected. And we've got, you name it, to survive, that's in the boat. So it's taken a lot of shuffling, a lot of repacking to make sure that we can fit it all in, because it is a small boat with a lot of equipment to pack in. So I think we've repacked it about 4 times now, but we're finally there, ready to go.
Excellent. Here's another view of the equipment check. And you know what? We have a question already from a classroom in Philadelphia. They are interested to know what you're going to eat on the trip. And I have a feeling this picture might offer some clues to that.
Yeah, so what you can see, we were laying out all of the different snack packs. So we've got the way that we do it, we've got 2 ways of doing it. We've got the main food that we'll have, so a breakfast pouch, a dinner pouch, and a tea pouch, or breakfast, lunch, and tea, and that's of like normal food, so say a chicken tikka, but it's all dehydrated, so you have to put water in it first and then let the water soak in and then eat it. And then what you can see on the floor there is, for every single day, we also have to have a snack pack, which is made up of all of our favourite sweet treats and all of that kind of stuff. And I imagine some of them are very similar to the stuff that you guys will be eating. So we have like popcorn and crisps, and then there's some wafers in there, some chocolates. What else did we have?
Sweets.
Yeah, some candy, and then also like salami and some beef jerky, stuff like that.
All right. That sounds delicious. And I read somewhere that you burn how many calories per day on average with all that rowing?
So we will probably burn between 4,000 and 4,500 calories a day.
All right. Lots of good reason to snack then. And I have the rest of my pictures really are focused on your boat. And we have the very fortunate circumstance today to be connecting with you on the boat itself. So
Yes.
I'm going to sort of put myself in the background, and I would love it if you could give us a tour of where you are and some of the special equipment that that you have all around you.
Yeah, I'll take you outside. If you let me know if you can't hear me, and I'll show you around. And the other two girls are also on deck, so we'll maybe get themselves to introduce themselves as well.
Yeah, definitely.
2 seconds. Oh, here we go. So this is me just exiting the aft cabin. So behind me here is the aft cabin. There's Ali, she's giving you all away. And then what we've got on the top of the aft cabin at the moment, you can see it's quite busy. Everybody is saying goodbye to friends and family. So on the top here, that's a solar panel. And then there's 2 solar panels. So there's one on that one. And then if I walk to the other end of the boat, there is another solar panel. So I'm now at the front of the boat, and you can see the other solar panel. This here is the nav light. So in the dark, people will be able to see us. So I put it up like this, and then I'll turn it on. It's not on at the moment, as you can see. And then when we don't use it, we lay it nice and flat. And I'll show you the forward cabin. So I'll let you have a look inside, but don't judge us because it's a little bit messy at the moment. So this is the forward cabin. If you can have a look inside. But as I said, don't judge us. We haven't finished doing it yet. And then, so we've got 2 cabins. One person will be in each cabin at a time. So we'll have one person in this forward cabin sleeping, and then another person in the aft cabin sleeping, and then 2 people on deck rowing. So I'll show you the rowing positions now. So I've got where I'm stood here. This is one rowing position, and there would be a seat here, and then my feet would go in these 2 feet holders. And this is an oar gate here. So it sits down and out like this, and an oar sits in this bit here. And it's the same on the other side, and then that would be the first rowing position. And then there's another rowing position just here. So that's the middle rowing position, and then there's one just where Abby is standing as well, which means that we can have 3 people rowing at the same time. And then all of our oars at the moment, you can see them in the sides, just down here. That's where we stow them. They will, when we're rowing, obviously be out on deck. In the 2 deck lockers that I'm just stood right next to, so these deck lockers here, in this one, we've got 2 batteries, and the solar panels on top of both of the cabins charge those batteries, and then those batteries then let us use all of our electronics. So to use the nav light, to charge any of our electronics so that we can keep the chart plotter that I was sat in front of when we were inside the cabin, and all of our navigation equipment and the VHF radio that we showed you earlier as well. And we have to be very careful with the batteries to make sure that we keep them charged so that we can keep using all of our electronic equipment. And one of the big drawers of electrics is in the other deck locker that I'm stood next to, so this one here. And in here is our water maker, which is quite simple. We take seawater and then we push it through a filter and a membrane, and that then filters out and squeezes out all of the salt, and we then have fresh water which comes out of, let me just get it for you, this hose here, and I put it into, or we put it into this tub here, and that's how we make our drinking water. So, and also everything for washing, and that's clothes and equipment and bits and pieces as well. And we have 6 deck lockers, so the 2 that I have just shown you, and then more further down. And they've mostly got food in them. So each of us have got a deck locker with all of our food in. So all the snack packs that we showed you earlier, and the main meals, etc. They're all in those deck lockers. And then we have a couple of central lockers. So when we were showing you the life raft earlier, if I move just further down, I'm now stood on top of, where I'm stood here, or I don't know whether or not you can see, that it there is where the life raft is. So it's underneath my feet at the moment. And we also have our anchor and our power anchor in there as well. And I've got the other two team members. If you'd like to introduce yourselves. Nick, just say who you are.
Hello, nice to meet you all. My name is Nick and I'm one of the rowers. Sorry, it's very bright here, I can't see you. Yeah, one of the rowers.
Hello, I'm Abby, another Valkyrie as well.
Say what your job is.
What do I?
What do you do at work?
What do I do at work? I am a survival equipment technician in the Fleet Air Arm.
So what does that mean? What do you what does it mean?
What does that mean? It means that I maintain air crew helmets, air crew life preservers, what's fitted to the aircraft, like their life.
Life jackets.
That was life preservers, life jackets. Yeah, what's fitted to the aircraft, like life rafts and harnesses. And I'm currently in a training role, so training the phase 2s and phase 3s that come through for the specialisation.
So the picture of us all in the pool in the life raft that you saw earlier, if we're in there, Abby is taking charge because she knows all about it.
Yeah. And then
It is
Nick,
so.
what do you do?
Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
Sorry. So I'm a warfare officer, so I do sort of ship driving and navigating, but I'm very much used to being on much bigger ships than this teeny tiny boat. So yeah.
It is so nice to meet you all, and thank you for that wonderful tour of your boat. It seems like a very, very special boat, and will be your home away from home for the next couple of weeks. I have to ask a question that I know a lot of students have before we bring some of our students on camera to ask their questions themselves. Why are you doing this? What is motivating you personally to undertake this massive challenge?
So for me personally, it's obviously an incredible opportunity to test ourselves as a team and as individuals, to push ourselves outside of the comfort zone in order to grow as people. And I think that's when you grow the most, when you're in slightly uncomfortable positions. But also, and I think crucially, we're raising some money for two chosen charities. A charity that looks after people in the Royal Navy, and I know there's a very similar one for the US Navy, and their mental health and ensuring that they are, they have the tools that they need to just get through day-to-day life and deal with some troubles. And then also another charity which is called the Young Women's Trust, and they help women, young women between the ages of 18 and 30, do tasks such as write CVs, and they look to help with equality as well in the pay bracket, and to ensure that women are supported all through their sort of youth, to sort of set them up for a healthy and fruitful future. So two charities that we're raising as much money as we can for, and sort of awareness as well, but also to show that if you put your mind to something, and it doesn't matter who you are, because we are all very, very simple beings, and if you put your mind to something and work hard, then you can achieve anything you want. So hopefully, in 40 days or so, we can happily say that we've ticked the box and it was a success. And if we do that, then we'll be very, very happy.
Fabulous. Wonderful reasons. And I know that on top of, completing this challenge of rowing across the Atlantic, this is also a race, which students can follow live. They can follow sort of all the boats that we just saw around you that are waiting to launch and to go out into the ocean together, are racing against each other. You all are trying to be the first and fastest all-women serving military team to complete the race. What does that mean to you? What does that what does that mean to be going after that record?
It means a lot to us, especially because this has not been done before, and to leave some sort of mark in that sort of the ocean marine community would just be incredible. It's something that no one's done before in the Navy, and yeah, it would just mean so much to us. A lot.
Fabulous. Well, we are going to be cheering for you all the way. And I want to bring some of our students in Missouri on screen. I want to welcome the City Garden Montessori School. Hi, City Garden Montessori. How are you all doing today? Doing all right. Did anything you just hear from the amazing Valkyries team sort of make you curious? Or does any brave person have a question that they would want to come up to the camera and ask directly to these amazing women? All right, we've got our first question asker. Fabulous.
Hi, my name's Carolyn, and I'm in 6th grade at City Garden, and I'm really interested in the ocean, and I think that your exhibition is super cool. When I was reading your bios, I saw that Izzy said that the boss of the boat was called the skipper, and I was wondering why it was called that.
Oh, good question. Oh, that's a really good question. I actually don't know why I was. I don't know whether or not maybe that's a colloquial term that us weird British people use. But I'll have a think about it, and I'll see whether or not I can find an answer before we finish. Oh, wait a second. I think I know. I think it's come from a Dutch origin.
Can I ask you, Ellie, can you pause for 1 second? And maybe City Garden, can you turn the volume down on your speakers a little bit? We're getting a lot of feedback, making it hard to hear. Yeah, thank you very much.
Caroline, that was a very good question. We believe, and this might be a rumour, but it is from a Dutch word for ship. And that might be why it's called a skipper, from a Dutch word. But that was a very good question.
Great. And Izzy, what does it mean to be the skipper? What are your special responsibilities?
So I have to make sure that all of these lovely ladies behind me are well looked after, and it's my responsibility to make sure that we have all of the equipment that we need, and that we've got everything that will keep us safe while we're away, and then also make sure that everybody is happy and healthy, or as happy as they can be when we're in the middle of an ocean. And then if I have to, it's my job to make the final call on things. So when you've got a friendship group and there's a little falling out sometimes, and there will always be that one person that helps mediate everything and make sure that everybody gets along. That'll be my job as well.
All right, what a great example of what the skipper does. It's a very important job. Fabulous question. I muted your mic, City Garden, just because it helped with feedback a little bit, but I'm going to unmute you now, especially if we have another student who would like to ask a question of the team.
I'm Theo, and I'm in 4th grade, and I'm 9. And one of my questions is, what are you most afraid of, and what are you going to do to avoid it?
So I'll pass the camera around. I am afraid of really, really, really big fish. And I'm going to avoid it by staying in the boat at every single opportunity and making sure that our diver looks after the outside of the boat. Nick, what are you most afraid of?
Hi, so I am afraid at the moment of the big waves that are going to come, and they might tip our boat over and we might capsize. There's not really a way of avoiding it, but I think if you guys have heard of mindfulness and thinking through the process of what might happen, you can, take some deep breaths, things like that, that will help calm me down if some big waves come and we capsize.
Abby, what about you?
I am afraid of the sleep deprivation because I need my 9 hours a night, but I'm only ever going to be getting about 90 minutes max. So I've just got to learn to deal with it. That's how I'm going to manage it. And I only ever need enough sleep to row for 2 hours and then I get to sleep again. So I actually get to sleep for 12 hours a day. It's just really broken up.
What are you going to be like with no sleep, Abby? What do you think?
Cranky.
Do you think you're going to be cranky? What about you then, Ali? What are you afraid of?
So I think I'm all of those lovely snacks that we told you about. I'm afraid that we haven't bought enough variation, and that I'll just want pizza in 2 days' time, and I have to wait for another 38 days to get to Antigua in the Caribbean to have some. So hopefully we've packed enough variety of food and enough candy, and then we'll see. But we will let you know on the crossing.
What do you guys think we should be afraid of?
Any ideas, City Garden? What are some things that you might be afraid of if you were undertaking this row?
Go ahead, Amma. What would you be afraid of?
Sharks or
Sharks,
dolphins.
yeah.
Or dolphins getting a little aggressive.
All right, Asher. What would you be afraid of?
Maybe a little water going through.
The water hitting you.
Yeah.
Sage. What would you be afraid
Definitely big fish.
of? Big fish.
Yeah.
A couple big fish
Yeah,
people.
same.
And Jack. Last one.
Running out of food unless you
Running out of food.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those are all,
Lots and lots of food.
yeah, those are all really good ones. And I wonder for our Valkyries, do you expect to see wildlife when you're out in the middle of the ocean?
Yeah, we do. And we're quite looking forward to it as long as they stay out of the boat. So previous teams have said that they've seen whales that have come really close to the boat, and they said the most amazing thing is they smell incredibly strongly, like fishy. But they said, how bizarre is it to be so close to a whale that you can smell it? Like that's wild. Marlin as well. So really, really big fish, maybe like 8 foot, 10 foot, with a super pointy, sharp kind of beak. And one of our fears, actually, we didn't mention it, is maybe that beak goes through the boat. You see loads of little flying fish, sort of in this area, and as we get further out into the Atlantic, we will see flying fish get bigger and bigger and bigger and start to really hurt when they accidentally bang into your head or your body while you're rowing. So yeah, there's some of the things we're expecting to see.
Excellent. All right. I'm going to bring into the conversation a question that was asked online from Ms. Copeland students who love seeing the tour of your boat and wanted to know if there's a prize for the team that comes in first for the race.
There is a prize. So there's the overall winner of the race, and then there's also a female category as well for the first all-female crew to come in. So we would obviously, fall into that category as well, unless we beat everyone. So yeah, there will be a big trophy for the winner of both of those races.
All right. Fabulous. Great question. City Garden, you look like you might have another question or two. Let me invite any other students who have a question for the Valkyries to come on up.
Hi, my name is Jack Rogers. I'm 11 in 6th grade, and I have 2 questions. The first one is, do you have a mile goal or like an amount of miles you want to reach per day?
So if we want to get there in a certain amount of time, there's an average that we do need to hit each day, but it can be so varied by the conditions, how we're feeling, if we're hungry, if we're tired, or just our general wellness on the boat. So if we could hit a really good average per day, but the big goal that is really cool to achieve, that would be like a big milestone and morale boost for us, is to hit 100 in a day. That could mean a less amount on another day, but to achieve 100 in a day at some point during the crossing would be really cool. Did you have a second question?
Yeah, go. If you had a second question, go ahead.
And can you tell, this one is for Alan, can you tell us a story about one of your longest or craziest dives?
Yep. So one of the craziest was where I say craziest. One of my favourites, I think, is more suitable. Would be when I was in Scotland on the west coast, and we were diving in sort of like 30 meters of water, and there was huge kelp from the bottom of the sea, and I was swimming all in between it, and there was 3 seals that were hiding from me behind the kelp, and every time I'd poke out, they would hide, and we were playing hide and seek in the kelp. It distracted me from what I was supposed to be doing, but it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So, and they were very, very cute seals, not like some of the bigger seals you get. So I think they must have been quite young. But yeah, that was probably my most enjoyable dive. But very good question. Do you do any diving?
No, not now. I can't get under the water.
Yeah, it's all
When I learned
practice.
how to swim, I couldn't figure out how to sink.
Yeah, it takes a while, Jack, but it's practice like anything. Similar to the rowing, the more you do it, the better you get. So yeah, you should keep practicing. It's awesome.
Yeah, wonderful question, Jack. And another question for the Valkyries. You're in the middle of this right now. You are about to set off on your race, starting tomorrow morning, bright and early, and you are in the process of saying goodbye to your friends and family for a couple of weeks at least. What is that like? What are you feeling right now?
Yeah, so we are super excited to be starting the race, but you're right. It is quite tricky sometimes to say goodbye, albeit temporarily, to our loved ones. The really great thing is that our family and friends support us so much. And I think probably everybody on this call will really appreciate and really love that their friends help them in times of trouble, and that kind of support network that you build is so important. So while it is, sad saying goodbye, admittedly only for a few weeks, actually we are so grateful to have great friends, great family who have come all this way and who will help us. So we'll definitely have them in our minds all the time while we're rowing, and we very much look forward to seeing them in a few weeks for sure.
Fabulous. Let's go back to City Garden. I know we have just a few minutes. We have to let our Valkyries get some sleep and say goodbye to their families and make final preparations for departure. But if we have any final questions from City Garden, I would love to have you ask.
My name is Mason Clark. I'm 9 years old. I'm in the 4th grade. And my question is, in the 3 other years you crossed the ocean, it said in one of the paragraphs, which one do you think is your best? Is your favorite?
So I think Mason may be referring to the 3 other years that the HMS Oardacious team has rowed across the ocean. Can you sort of talk about the differences between those teams?
Yes, of course. Sorry, Mason. It got so windy there, we couldn't hear you. All we could hear was the wind. Yeah, so the previous teams that have gone have all been male submariners. So the guys that go on the submarines under the water for long periods of time. Obviously, we're different because we are a female team. We also weigh a lot less than they do, which is kind of good because a light boat is a fast boat, but they tended to have a lot more power. So when they get into sticky situations, or the weather is really strong, the wind is, really, really blowing very, very hard, they would be able to kind of row through it and be able to overcome it. Whereas we have to think a bit differently, think outside of the box about how we're going to tackle those same problems, because we don't necessarily have the same power. Does that answer your question, Mason?
Did that answer your question, Mason? All right, big thumbs up. Fabulous. Do we have any final question from City Garden before we let the Valkyries go? Excellent. We've got a question asker making her way up right now.
Basically, hi, my name is Sherry. My age is 9 in 4th grade, and I've been excited to meet you. And my question is, how do you wake two of your partners up when they are asleep in the little cabins?
Do you want to answer that one? So, as in, how do we wake them?
How do you wake them up?
Oh, okay. So ideally, everyone should be setting their own alarms because you don't know what everyone's individual jobs are. So they might want to get up and eat before they come on watch, or they might actually just want to get up, open their eyes, put clothes on, and come on the oars. So everyone has their own individual alarms that to make sure they are ready to go on the oars for their watch starting. If we don't see any lights coming on or any movements, we've got an agreement between us. If we see no movement 10 minutes before, then we'll knock on the cabins to make sure they get up, because it's super important we stay in our watches, which I am very strict about, because we have to stay in a routine to make sure we get the maximum rest, but also maximum time on the oars. And to keep it fair between everyone as well. So, we're always all doing our bit. So yeah, really good question. Thank you.
Yes, fabulous question. We have 2 minutes left. Is there anyone at City Garden who has a burning question that they absolutely have to ask? Okay, I see 2 hands. We'll make time for both of you. If the 2 question askers want to come up and ask their questions, we'll make those our final questions. Go ahead.
My name is Sage. I'm in 5th grade, and I really love the environment. But I have a question. My question is, if you could switch jobs with anyone on your team, who would you switch jobs to?
That's a really good question. If I could be a nuclear engineer, then I'd have a big brain like his. That would be really cool. But I think I'd want to be a diver, like Ali here. It is pretty cool. So yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. No one's gonna say my job.
If I was to switch jobs, I would switch with Abby.
She's like,
Because throughout this campaign, I've realised just how important all of our safety equipment and everything is. And Abby looks after all the stuff that all the air crew use. And that's really cool and really important. So that's probably who I would switch with. But, we're lucky we have a boat full of people who have awesome jobs.
Hi, I would switch probably with Izzy, because she can always fix everything. She always knows how to fix things. Very useful.
hiya. Please say you keep.
I would probably, and never repeat this to anyone because everybody that I work with would take the mick out of me, but I would quite like to drive a ship. So I'd probably switch with Nick. But you have to keep that quiet because everyone that I work with would take the mick out of me for saying that. So.
All right, excellent, fabulous question. Thank you so much. And let's bring up our last question asker from City Garden, please.
My name is Amma, and I have a few questions. One question, what time are you coming back?
That's a really good question. So we are hoping to get back towards the end of January, so less than 40 days.
This is a great question. Amma, just to put that in perspective, as you are off of school for your holiday break, the Valkyries will still be rowing every day, working their way across the Atlantic Ocean. So they have a long journey ahead of us. And for that very reason, I think it's a good time for us to say thank you so much to the Valkyries for joining us from the start line of their race. City Garden, if I unmute you, can you give them a big thank you and bon voyage? Good luck.
Thank you so much.
And Tim, if there's a way you can let us know how we can support their charities, we have been talking about that as well.
Absolutely, I would love to do that. And there's also a link where you can follow their journey live with a tracker that shows you exactly where in the ocean they are. So I will send all of that, Miss Toomey, absolutely. Thank you, Team Valkyrie, for joining us, for spending some of your last moments in port with us. Before you go, can you give us one last panoramic of the harbor and where you are and all those other boats that we can see lined up for the race?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's definitely different.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, fabulous. We wish you all the best and a safe and speedy journey. Izzy, Abby, Nicola, Team Valkyries from HMS Oardacious, we will be watching your journey very closely, cheering you on the whole way. And for the educators and students who joined us today, remember to check out the team's wonderful virtual exchange articles on their journey page. I put the link in the chat. We'll reconnect live with the Valkyries as soon as we possibly can. But that's it for today. Bon voyage, Valkyries. Good luck. We'll be watching you and cheering you on from afar.